She believed the glass of the oven door was just a reflection. She thought her old man's mind was worn, his vision dim. She was wrong. I saw the vile cobalt blue shaking in her grip. I saw 3 drops fall into the stew, my favorite. And in the moment she turned to fetch the bread, I did what any father who had just erased his child's crushing debt would do. I swapped our bowls. You might think you know what followed, but you don't. Before I describe how my own daughter ended up convulsing on the kitchen tiles, let me know in the comments, where are you watching from right now? If you've ever had to make a choice that would shatter your own heart to save your life, hit like and subscribe to Wines of Thought. The wind outside was a beast, clawing at the window pane. But the cold inside my own dining room was deeper, absolute. I sat at the head of the same table for 40 years, my weathered hands resting quietly on the cloth. To the world, I was just Arthur Vale, a retired botanist, a little slower, a little lonelier since my Eleanor passed. But my mind was still the precision instrument I'd used in my greenhouse for decades. I was watching my only child, Clara, my legacy, or so I'd told myself for 34 years. Her back was to me at the kitchen counter. The dark glass front of the wall oven was a perfect mirror. She never considered it. Her focus was on the small container drawn from her sweater. No label, the liquid inside was a tranquil, deceptive blue. The cork came out with a jerk. I saw her pause a fraction of a heartbeat. I didn't breathe. I prayed to a silence I'd lived with for years that she would remember. The piano lessons, the mortgage down payment, the $80,000 check I.D. written just last month to clear the mountain of loans she and her husband, Leo, had built chasing a life they could not afford. She did not remember. She tipped the vial. 1, 2, 3 drops into the steaming beef stew. The spoon clinked as she stirred. That soft, ceramic tink was the sound of the last thread between us, snapping. She turned to the sink. This was my moment. I did not rise. Years of handling toxic, pollens and volatile extracts taught me that calmness is control. Panic is poison. I leaned forward, my movements silent as a shadow. My left hand took my bowl. My right took hers. A smooth, soundless slide across polished oak. The exchange took less than 3 seconds. When she turned back, drying her hands, I was precisely as she'd left me, gazing vacantly at the blizzard gathering in the yard. My heart was a frantic drum against my ribs, but my face was a still pond. Leo walked in then, bringing a gust of cold air and the scent of cheap aftershave. "Smells incredible, Clara," he boomed, too loud. He clapped a hand on my shoulder. It felt like the weight of a betrayal. "Feeling hungry, Arthur?" I looked up. A sheen of sweat glistened on his upper lip. The house was warm. Why was he sweating? I knew. The failed entrepreneur with a secret betting habit. The man who likely procured that little blue bottle. "I am," I said, my voice a dry rustle. I was playing my part. The feeble elder. The easy mark. Clara brought the bowls. She set the clean one before me, the tainted one before her own seat. "Eat, Dad," she said, her voice taut. "It's best hot." She sat. Leo took the seat at the table's foot, completing our triangle of deceit. I picked up my spoon. I saw them both stiffen. Leo stopped moving. Clara's eyes were locked on my hand, waiting for the old man to take his medicine. I brought a spoonful to my lips, blew on it gently. I could feel the heat of their stares. I took a sip. "Excellent," I murmured. I saw Leo's shoulders drop 2 inches. Clara forced a smile that looked like a grimace. "I'm glad, Dad," she said. She lifted her own spoon. I watched the woman I'd taught to name every constellation. I remembered a Saturday when she was 12. She'd asked, "Papa, what happens if you ingest monkshood?" I'd explained the alkaloids, the paralysis, how nature's beauty often hides a lethal core. I taught her that biology is law. Introduce a toxin and the system will rebel. She was introducing the toxin into her own system now. She forgot the first lesson I ever taught her. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. She took a large mouthful. She swallowed. "Eat up, Clara," I said softly. "You'll need your strength." We ate in a silence broken only by the scrape of cutlery. I savored each bite of the stew meant to be my last. It tasted of time, of beef, of survival. Leo ate quickly, shoveling food in, glancing from me to his watch. "So, Arthur," Leo said, his mouth half full, "Clara and I were talking. This house. The upkeep. The ice on the roof. It's a lot for you?" "I manage," I said, dabbing my mouth. "But do you?" Clara interjected, setting down her spoon. "Dad, you left the back gate unlocked all yesterday. And you forgot the pharmacist's appointment last week." "We're worried." I had not forgotten. "The prescription was in my jacket." "The gate?" Leo had the code. "I'm fine," I repeated. "Maybe," Leo leaned in, "it's time we looked at a place. Assisted living. A fantastic community just north of the city. We could just visit." I looked at Clara. She was taking another bite. "Is that what you want?" I asked. "To put me in a home?" She swallowed. "For your safety, Dad, we want you safe." Safe. The word curdled in the air. Suddenly, Clara frowned. Her spoon clattered into the bowl. A hand flew to her throat. "What's wrong?" Leo asked, his voice sharp. "I don't know," she whispered, her voice growing thick. "It's bitter. Must be the herbs," I said calmly, taking another sip. "Tastes fine to me." She coughed a dry, hacking sound. She rubbed her sternum. "It's so hot in here." She pushed her chair back. The color was draining from her face like wine from a broken glass. Foxglove, digitalis, I knew the signs. Nausea, visual disturbances, then the heart begins its dangerous dance. A perfect tool for silencing an old man with a known heart condition. But Clara was young, her metabolism swift. It would hit her harder, faster. "My eyes," she stammered, blinking rapidly. "Lights, halos." Leo stood up. "Clara, talk to me." "I'm sick," she gagged. She doubled over, clutching her stomach. I remained seated, observing the experiment unfold. Leo rushed to her side. "What is it?" "Food poisoning." She vomited onto the floor, violent and sudden. I stood then, moving with the slow uncertainty they expected. "Oh dear," I said. "Dad, help me," Leo shouted. "She's burning up." He touched her forehead. She was convulsing now, her body seizing in the chair before she slid to the floor with a sickening thud. "It isn't food poisoning," I said, my voice cold clear. Leo looked at me, panic widening his eyes. "What?" "That looks like a toxic reaction," I stated. "What did you put in the stew, Leo?" He froze, the mask shattered. I saw the terror of a rat in a trap. "We didn't. Nothing." "What are you?" "She's been poisoned," I said. "Call an ambulance." "Unless you want her to die on your kitchen floor." He scrambled for his phone, fingers fumbling. Clara was gasping, her eyes rolling back, hands scratching at the linoleum. In a moment of agonizing clarity, her gaze found me. She looked at her empty bowl, then at mine. She knew. "Papa." She wheezed. "Don't try to speak," I said, kneeling beside her but not touching her. I leaned close. "Save your strength. You'll need it for the police." Leo was screaming into the phone. As he turned, I saw it. A crumpled tissue had fallen from Clara's pocket. Wrapped inside was the empty vial. She'd kept it. Amateur. I palmed it, slipping it into my own pocket. Exhibit A. Sirens wailed, closing in fast. Leo knelt over her, crying now. Real tears for his ruined plan, perhaps. "She be okay, right, Arthur?" "She has to be." "I don't know, Leo," I said, looking down at them. The avaricious daughter. The ruinous husband. "That depends entirely on the dosage." His head snapped up. "The dosage?" I didn't answer. I walked to the window, watching the ambulance lights paint the snow crimson. They were coming to save her. For now. But the real sickness wasn't in the stew. It was in this house, and I had just begun the purge. The paramedics burst in, bringing controlled chaos. They loaded her onto a gurney. "Sir, you coming?" one asked Leo. "Yes, yes." He looked at me. "Dad, you coming?" I looked at the mess, the vomit, the spilled stew. I'll follow in my car, I said. I need my coat. They rushed out. The door slammed. Silence rushed back in, heavier than before. I walked to the sink, picked up my bowl, and poured the remains down the drain. The evidence of my survival vanished with a gurgle. I pulled the tissue-wrapped vial from my pocket, held it to the light. A single drop of blue clung to the glass. I went to the closet, put on my heavy coat and scarf. I checked my reflection in the hall mirror. I did not look like a victim. I did not look like a frail old man. I looked like a man who had just declared a silent war. The deepest frost isn't outside your window. It's in the hearts you warmed with your own fire. I walked out into the bitter night, snow crunching underfoot. I wasn't just driving to the hospital. I was going to finish what they had started. As I drove, the city lights smearing past, my phone rang. It was my lawyer, Marcus Thorne. I'd texted him a single code word from the chaos, foxglove. Arthur, his gravelly voice came through. You initiated the protocol? Status? They tried tonight, Marcus. Digitalis in the stew. A heavy silence. Are you clean? I'm untouched. Clara consumed it. Another pause. Marcus Thorne was the only soul who knew the true extent of my wealth. The $18 million from the drought-resistant seed patent I'd sold quietly. The years I'd played the modest pensioner to see who my family truly was. The test had failed spectacularly. She consumed it? He finally asked. I switched the bowls. Arthur, that complicates things legally. It was self-defense, I stated flatly. Listen, I'm heading to Mercy General. Leo will spin this. He'll claim senility, confusion. He'll push for an emergency conservatorship before dawn. 4. I'll meet you there, Marcus said. I'll bring the documents. We lock everything down. Everything, I confirmed. The joint accounts, the credit lines, the mortgage payments on their condo. I want them to feel a cold deeper than this winter, Marcus. I want them to understand what nothing truly feels like. I hung up. I pulled into the hospital lot, seeing Leo pacing under the harsh lights, phone pressed to his ear, probably calling his bookie or another lawyer. I sat in the dark car for a long moment. I thought of the little girl who would bring me dandelions as if they were roses. That child was gone, replaced by a stranger who would poison me for an early inheritance. I stepped out. The sliding doors hissed open. The daughter thought I didn't see, but I see everything. And tonight I would make sure the world saw it too. The antiseptic hospital air was a sharp slap. I took a plastic chair, pulling my coat tight. Leo paced before the nurse's station, a performance of frantic concern. But his eyes kept darting to the exits, to the 2 police officers who'd just arrived. He wasn't scared for his wife. He was calculating his own survival odds. A doctor emerged, Dr. Sharma, his badge red. Leo pounced. Is she alive? Tell me. She's stable, Mr. Vale, the doctor said, removing Leo's grip from his arm. But it was severe. We've identified the toxin. A massive digitalis overdose. The word landed like a judge's gavel. Digitalis, foxglove, a plant Arthur Vale, renowned botanist, cultivated in my private greenhouse. Leo froze. The gears turned. He'd expected food poisoning, not this specific, damning identification. He pivoted a cornered animal. He spun and thrust a finger at me. Him! It's the old man! The officers stepped forward. Explain, sir. He grows it. Leo screamed, spit flying. He has a whole garden of deadly plants. Foxglove, nightshade, he makes these crazy natural remedies. He's paranoid about doctors. He did this. He confused his poisonous leaves for herbs. The officer turned to me, wary. Sir, is this true? Do you grow foxglove? This was the crossroads. I could stand tall, declare my sanity, reveal the switch and the vial. It would be my word against theirs. A messy domestic drama. No, I needed them to feel secure. I needed to be the prey until the trap was fully set. I let my shoulders slump. My hands trembled visibly on my coat buttons. I widened my eyes, letting them grow watery and lost. I have a garden, I stammered, my voice thin. I dry herbs. For tea. You see? Leo shouted, triumphant. He admits it. He's gone, officer. Forgets names, leaves the stove on. I told him not to cook. I looked down, playing the shamed, confused father. I thought it was rosemary. The jars, they looked the same. My eyes, I whispered. Oh God, did I hurt my Clara? The officer's posture softened. He saw a tragedy, not a crime. He looked at Leo with pity. Sounds like a terrible accident, sir. An accident? Leo screeched, but I saw the relief flood him. He had an out. Better, it laid the perfect groundwork for the conservatorship. He almost killed her. He's a danger. He can't be alone? I buried my face in my hands, a sob shuddering through me. It wasn't hard. I cried for the daughter who had sat across from me, waiting for me to die. I'm so sorry. I'm so confused. The doctor shifted uncomfortably. Mr. Vale, we need to know the concentration to treat her. Do you have the plant material? I threw it out, I stuttered. In the compost. I wanted to clean up. Leo shook his head at the officers. You see? He destroys evidence and doesn't even know it. We can't let him go back there alone. The officer nodded slowly. Sir, we'll need a statement, but for now... I gasped, clutching my chest. I feel faint. A nurse was called. They ushered me to a wheelchair. As I was wheeled away, I glanced back. Leo was talking rapidly to the other officer, the picture of devastated concern. But as the doors closed between us, I caught it. A tiny, fleeting smirk. He thought he'd done it. Turned a botched murder into the key to my fortune. He didn't know about the vial in my pocket, stamped with his wife's fingerprints. He didn't know that while he spoke of my failing memory, I was memorizing every syllable to use against him. He thought I was a senile old fool. He had no idea he was staring down a botanist who understood that poison, once planted, always grows back on the one who sows it. The nurse left me in a dim examination room. The click of the lock was a starting pistol. As soon as she was gone, the tremor vanished. My spine straightened. I was no longer the feeble Arthur in the wheelchair. I was the man who'd out-negotiated agricultural conglomerates. I moved to the door, listened, then slipped out and into a single-occupancy restroom, locking it behind me. The faucet ran, masking my voice and old habit. I pulled my encrypted phone, not the simple one Leo bought me, and dialed. Marcus answered on the first ring. Status. They took the bait, I said, my reflection cold in the mirror. Leo is playing the senility card. He's accusing me of botanical confusion. He's laying pipe for an emergency guardianship hearing. Good, Marcus rustled papers. If they file, they open their finances to discovery. We prove motive. We need to accelerate the pressure, I said. They're desperate. Leo has collectors breathing down his neck. If they think they've won, they'll try to drain the accounts immediately. Let them try, Marcus scoffed. They're trying to pick a vault lock with a toothpick. Execute Protocol Winterlock, I ordered. A pause. Arthur? That's the scorched earth option. Once it's done, there's no return. It freezes every asset, every card, every automatic payment you authorize for them. Everything goes dark. I am certain, I said, my voice iron. They watched me raise a poisoned spoon and they smiled, Marcus. I want every card they have to be declined. I want foreclosure notices to hit their inbox before sunrise. I want them to feel the walls they built for me closing in on them. Understood? Initiating now. By the time you leave that room, they will be financially stranded. And flag it for fraud alert, I added. If they try to access anything, I want the banks to auto-notify the authorities. I want them paranoid. I want them to turn on each other. Consider it done. Stay in character, Arthur. The next act is volatile. I hung up, I looked in the mirror, rehearsed the vacant stare, the trembling lip, then shuffled back to the examination room to wait. The financial winter had just begun, and my family was about to discover that the man they tried to bury was the only flame they had left. The car ride home was a tomb on wheels. I hummed in the back seat, watching the icy world. Clara slumped in the passenger seat, the color of a week-old bruise. Leo gripped the wheel like he was trying to choke it. We pulled into the drive. The house was a dark, gaping mouth. Inside, Leo helped Clara to the sofa. "I need water," she croaked. "Something plain." "I'll go to the store," Leo said, jittery. "Electrolytes, crackers," he pointed at me. "You sit, don't move." I raised shaky hands. "I'll just rest in my chair." He slammed out. The house held its breath. I sat. Clara glared at the ceiling. "Why couldn't you just have eaten it?" she whispered. I didn't answer. I counted the minutes in my head, imagining Leo at the checkout. The beep of the first declined card. The flush of humiliation. The second card declined. The third. The frantic, empty-handed return. He was back in 30 minutes. The door crashed open. He had no bags. His face was pure, undiluted fury. "You!" he screamed, storming towards me. "What did you do?" 6. Clara sat up. "Leo, the food?" "There is no food?" he yelled, kicking the door shut. "The cards. All of them declined. Account frozen. Issuer restricted." He loomed over me. "What did you do to the accounts?" I blinked, cowering. "The accounts. Oh, Marcus," I called Marcus from the hospital. "After the accident, I was so scared. The police." I felt so confused. I told him I couldn't trust myself anymore. "Marcus, your lawyer?" Leo's voice was a strangled whisper. I nodded, a sad, slow bob of the head. He said, "If I'm becoming a danger, I'm vulnerable. Scammers, he said I needed. Protocol Winterlock to protect me." Leo looked gut-punched. "Winterlock." "He froze everything," I whispered. "To keep me safe." He said until a judge reviews it, no one can spend a penny. Not even me. Even a pack of gum needs a court order. The silence was volcanic. "You froze. All of it?" Leo breathed. "To keep us safe," I said, offering a weak, placating smile. "You idiot," he roared, grabbing his own hair. "Do you have an why idea what you've done?" "I did what was best," I quavered. Marcus said, "To hell with Marcus." He kicked the coffee table. "We need that money now." "Why?" I asked innocently. "The pantry is full. We have a roof." He couldn't answer. He couldn't speak of the 7-day deadline, of the collector named S who demanded $500,000. He just stood, panting, a wild animal in a cage. "Cash," he muttered. "There's cash here." "Every old miser has a stash." He dove from my desk, ripping out drawers, dumping contents. Nothing. "Check the bedroom." "The closet." They became a frenzy of destruction. Leo thundered upstairs. I heard drawers hitting walls. Clara limped to the kitchen, overturning canisters. I sat in my chair, a monument to calm amidst their storm. Let them tear the house apart. They would find only dust and their own mounting terror. Leo returned, empty-handed, clutching my late wife's jewelry box. He shook it. Costume beads scattered. "Where is it? The gold?" "The bonds?" "Your mother was buried with her pearls, Leo," I said softly. He hurled the box into the fireplace. It shattered. "We're finished," he whispered to Clara. "This isn't going to wait for a court. What do we do?" she asked, her voice thin with new fear. Leo looked at me, his eyes dead and dark. "We accelerate. We don't wait for the hearing. We get him committed tonight. I know a doctor. He'll sign for cash. Once he's in a psych ward, we become guardians by default. We override the layer. We break the freeze." He leaned into my face, his breath sour. "You're sick, Arthur. Very sick. You see things. You hurt people. And we're getting you help, even if we have to drag you." I looked back, tears welling on cue. "Okay, Leo, whatever you say." "Good?" He pulled out his phone. "He'll be here in an hour." I sat back. Let them bring their disgraced doctor. Let them try. I had one final reagent to add to this experiment, and it was already applied to the safe upstairs. The endgame was here, and they were walking straight into checkmate. The heat in the house became a weapon. I was sweating through my shirt, yet Leo wore a sweater, shivering. Clara was wrapped in a blanket, teeth chattering. They cranked the thermostat to sauna levels but pointed to a doctored readout showing 62 degrees. "It's so warm," I murmured, pulling at my collar. "Warm, Arthur, it's freezing." Leo insisted, pointing to the fake display. "You're hypothermic? Your body is confused. Put your coat on." They were rewriting my senses, making me doubt my own skin. I put the heavy coat on. The heat was unbearable. My glasses disappeared from the side table, only for Leo to find them in the freezer. "Why would you put these in here, Arthur?" "To cool them down." Gaslighting, pure and brutal. They wanted me to break, to rage, to give them their reason for the doctor. I retreated to my room, opening the window to the true cold to ground myself. Night fell. I feigned sleep. They crept in, standing over my bed, their whispers poisonous seeds. "You're insane, old man. You belong in a padded room. You're a burden." They tried to reprogram my dreams with venom. They left. I waited, then rose. From the back of my closet, I retrieved a small jar of odorless powder. I'd formulated years ago, a compound that fluoresces blood red under UV light, sticks to skin oils, and transfers easily. I coated the keypad and handle of my wall safe. To the naked eye, it was pristine. To anyone who touched it, it would be a brand. I returned to bed, but I did not sleep. I waited. Desperation would drive them to the safe tonight. And when they did, they would paint their guilt in a light only I could show the world. The grandfather clock chimed 2. I was in the closet, phone recording. The stairs creaked under Leo's heavy, careless steps. He went straight to the painting, swung it open, revealing the safe. He didn't even glance at the bed. He muttered codes, punching numbers. "Error beeps." He slammed his fist on the steel. Clara appeared in the doorway, a specter. "He changed it?" "He couldn't have." Leo snarled. "His brain is porridge." He tried again. Error. With a guttural cry, he grabbed the fireplace poker. "I'm opening this," he swung. The crash of metal on metal was deafening. Sparks flew. He swung again and again, a man bludgeoning his problems. Clara watched, doing nothing to stop him. "You'll wake the neighbors." "I don't care." He screamed, dropping the poker, defeated. He leaned his forehead, his palms, against the safe door. Perfect. He was coating himself in the invisible evidence. Clara stepped closer. "We should have used more," she whispered. "More what?" Leo asked, not looking up. "The digitalis. We should have doubled the dose. He should be dead. We shouldn't be here with a safe." There it was. The confession. On my recording. "I know," Leo said, regretful. "The extraction was weak. He shouldn't be here. He's just taking up space," Clara said, looking around my room with disgust. "Sucking air we need. Why won't he just let go?" "Because he's selfish," Leo spat. "Always has been." He hit the safe once more with his open hand. "We stick to the plan. Dr. Evans comes at 9. We get the signature. We get the order. We drag him out. Once he's in the ward, we get power of attorney. Then we get a locksmith. And if Evans doesn't sign?" Clara asked. "Then we put a pillow over his face and say his heart gave out?" Leo whispered. "I'm not losing my hands over this." I stopped recording. I had it all. The attempted robbery, the conspiracy to murder. And now the physical proof was glowing invisibly on his skin. I waited until they left, then emerged. With a UV flashlight, the room erupted in crimson crime. Handprints smeared the safe. A partial print gleamed on the doorframe. A trail of glowing footprints led to their bedroom. I took photos. The evidence was complete. I almost left through the window. But leaving would make me a missing person. Staying would bring victory. I needed them to commit their final crime on paper. I hid my go-bag and waited for morning. At 9 sharp, the doorbell rang. Dr. Evans looked like a used car salesman of medicine. The examination was a farce. He asked leading questions, diagnosed acute dementia with psychotic features on the spot, and handed Leo a medical hold recommendation. A social worker, Mr. Sykes, arrived, rubber stamping a 24-hour hold and temporary guardianship. The transport van would come at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Leo thought he held the keys to the kingdom. He locked me in my bedroom, even screwed a bracket to the frame. As he drilled, I could hear them downstairs, popping a cork, celebrating. Alone in my room, I went to the attached bath, retrieved a jug of sulfuric acid drain cleaner. Using a pipette, I applied drops to the wooden frame around the bracket screws. The acid hissed, eating through the wood, weakening the prison they'd built. The smell of dissolving cellulose was the smell of my impending freedom. I waited until 3 a.m. then, with a towel-muffled shoulder. I threw my weight against the door. The softened wood gave way with a wet crunch. I was free. I took my bag, crept past their drunken slumber, and slid out the back door into the punishing cold. I walked 2 miles through the blizzard to a diner, called a discreet car, and went to Marcus's office. By 6 a.m., I was in his war room, handing over the vial, the recordings, the UV photos. "It's time," I said. At 9:58 a.m., we pushed open the doors of the emergency guardianship hearing. Leo and Clara were mid-performance, spinning their tale of my violent senility to a weary judge. The look on their faces when I walked in, clear-eyed and sharp in a 3-piece suit, was worth every second of the hell they'd put me through. We played the recording of Clara wishing they'd used more poison. We showed the judge the photos of the glowing handprints on the safe. We presented the real medical records proving my sound mind, and the file on the corrupt Dr. Evans. The judge's weariness turned to ice. Bailiff locked the doors. Federal agents entered, upgrading charges to racketeering and conspiracy. As they were led away in chains, Clara screamed, "He has millions! Use it, get me out." I visited her at the county jail. Through the plexiglass, I showed her the transfer receipt. "The Arthur Vale estate has been liquidated," I said. $15 million, donated, half to gambling addiction recovery, half to elder abuse prevention. The money you killed for is gone. The house is sold. There is nothing. Her scream of hatred was muffled by the glass. I hung up the phone and walked away. I had one more stop to make Leo's holding cell. He looked smaller, the bravado gone, replaced by a twitching fear. "They're going to take my fingers, Arthur. You have to call S. You have to explain." "I don't have to do anything, Leo," I said. "But I will give you some information." "The collector, S.? His real name is Silas Morrow. I've known him for 20 years. He was my head of security at the seed company. When I suspected your gambling problem, I hired him to be your bookie. To let you dig the hole. To see how deep you'd go. The $500,000 debt? It's a fiction. A test. You failed." Leo's face went slack, his mind unable to process the scale of the betrayal. You set it all up?" "I set up the conditions," I corrected. "You chose every step. You chose to gamble. You chose to steal from your own company. You chose to suggest poisoning me to Clara. You chose to swing that poker at my safe. All I did was watch and document. Now you'll have a very long time to reflect on those choices." I left him there, his mouth moving soundlessly. The final reaction was complete. Every element had been accounted for, and the resulting compound was their utter ruin. My lawyer, Marcus, met me outside. "It's done, Arthur. The plea deals are being drafted. They'll both take 25 to life to avoid the death penalty. The story will be kept quiet, family tragedy, mental breakdown. Your reputation remains intact." "Thank you, Marcus," I said. "For everything. What will you do now?" I looked up at the gray sky, feeling the first hint of a thaw in the wind. "I'm going to finish what Eleanor and I always talked about." "That trip? The one we kept putting off for the family, for the business, for the future." I handed him an envelope. "My new contact information. It will reach me wherever I am." A week later, I stood on the deck of a small, sturdy sailboat in a marina in Maine. The Wandering Heart was her name, and she was mine. I had sold everything that remained, except for this. With me was a single box of keepsakes, a photo of Eleanor, my old botanical journal, and the blue vial, now empty and cleaned, a reminder of the toxicity I had survived. As I prepared to cast off, a familiar car pulled up on the dock. It was Marcus. He walked over, holding a large manila envelope. I thought you might want this before you disappeared into the sunset, he said. The final settlement. All their assets, the condo, the cars, the jewelry, were liquidated. The proceeds, after legal fees, were added to your donation. The total contribution to the charities just crossed 20 million. I took the envelope, not opening it. A fitting end. There's one more thing, Marcus said, looking uncharacteristically hesitant. A letter? It came to the office for you. From Clara. He handed me a plain white envelope. My name was written in her shaky handwriting. I opened it. A single sheet of paper. Papa, it began. The word struck me like a physical blow. I am not asking for forgiveness. I do not deserve it, and I know you will not give it. I am writing from a place where the noise has stopped. The wanting has stopped. All that is left is the memory of your hands, showing me how to hold a seedling so I wouldn't crush its roots. You told me gentleness is a kind of strength. I forgot. I traded that strength for a fantasy. I am so very sorry for the monster I became. I hope, in your travels, you find some peace. Goodbye, Papa. Clara. I folded the letter, my hand steady. I looked out at the open water, where the sky met the sea in a seamless, endless gray. There was no anger left in me, only a vast, quiet sorrow for the daughter I had lost long before the poison ever touched the stew. Thank you, Marcus, I said, placing the letter back in the envelope. For everything, truly. Take care of yourself, Arthur. Send a postcard? I nodded. He clasped my shoulder, then turned and walked back to his car. I untied the lines, started the engine, and guided the wandering heart out of the slip and into the channel. The boat cut through the cold, dark water, heading east toward the horizon. The past was a land I was leaving. The future was an open sea. I had no map, and for the first time in my life, that was exactly how I wanted it. I was not running away. I was sailing toward a silence I had earned, a peace forged in the fire of betrayal and cooled in the waters of absolute freedom. They say blood is thicker than water. But I learned that the sea, for all its salt, can cleanse a wound that blood only poisons. The deepest frost isn't outside your window. It's in the hearts you warmed with your own fire. But even the deepest frost eventually thaws under a persistent sun. My sun was the truth. My thaw was this journey. If you've ever had to make a painful choice to protect your own life from those who should have protected you, share your strength in the comments. And if this story of quiet vengeance and ultimate release resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to Wines of Thought for more tales where the mind is the sharpest weapon of all, and the heart, once broken, can learn to sail again.